I would like to welcome an amazing speaker. She said I must cut her CV short. I'm finding it very difficult, but I'm going to try. So this is Khanyi Mlambo. She says she's a mother of 13 kids, story for another day, a wonderful husband. She is a respected sustainability leader, executive coach, facilitator, keynote speaker, and change agent. She is the managing director of ESG Consulting, where she advises organizations on sustainability, leadership, and responsible business practices. She is a fellow and ambassador of the Cambridge Institute of Sustainability Leadership and serves as a strategic advisor to the Corporate Affairs Leadership Forum. Across Africa, she is recognized for her work in developing leaders who can navigate complexity, drive meaningful change, and create lasting impact. I'm going to stop there because she said she wants to surprise you with more.
With the rest.
She will give you all the rest that you need to know. So please welcome.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Are you okay? Okay. She said, I'm Sis Khanyi. To everybody else, I am Mama Khanyi to you. If you are 30 and below, I am Koko Khanyi to you. If you are 40 and below, I am Mama Khanyi. Maybe if you are 59, you can say Sis Khanyi. Because I'm a 60-year-old mother and grandmother, and I'm proud of that. So we're just going to talk about resilience. Everything that you've heard this morning from Mr. Dominic is all about resilience. So I'm so sorry. I spent a lot of time preparing my slides, and they're beautiful, and I am going to show my slides. But I'm going to go through them quickly just so that we can save time. I'm going to talk about mountaineering and the lessons that we can learn from there. And it all starts from the base camp. 4 things that we're going to touch on is how we prepare, it's how we navigate, and also how we reach our summit. And at the end of the day, is about how we find ourselves. But I'll also talk to you as a runner. I'm a long distance runner, and I've done over 350 marathons in my lifetime. Don't clap now, there's a lot, so I'll tell you what you should do. I've also done 10 Two Oceans marathons in Cape Town. I also have a green number in Comrades marathons. I've done 10 of them. And I've done 10 international marathons in all these cities. Particularly, the most important marathon in the life of marathoning is Athens, because this is where marathon running actually started. How many runners here in the room? How many marathons? Okay. How many marathons? Between 5, how many comrades? Okay, so how many, any runners in the room? I've also done the world major marathons, all these 6 across the world. And as a result, I've become one of the first South African black women to attain what is called the 6-star medal. So this is where you clap. But I'm also talking to you as a mountaineer. I've summited all these mountains. We're going to talk about them. And why I talk about mountaineering is because anything that you do, if it doesn't challenge you, if it's not difficult, it's not going to change you. But all of this comes from, this is my beginning. Family of 13. That's why I have 13 children that I've adopted and I foster. And that's Mama Khanyi right there. And that's my brother. Half the people in this picture in my family literally wiped out. Alcoholism, gender-based violence, violence. I've watched my family as a child. And my biggest inspiration at that moment was to see myself holding a bottle of a beer just like my brother. So this is where I come from, resilience. So resilience talks to how you can change your life because you're focused on something. I'm also talking to you as a sustainability custodian where I talk about, and I'm passionate about how we found Earth breathing on its own. They didn't need us. And this is where we are sitting today. And if you think this is so far away from you, because your focus is your businesses, your qualifications, getting to the next step, the question that I want to ask you is, when organizations are recruiting for these roles, who do you think normally applies? Who responds? It's a question. People have an experience in that field. Who else do you think applies? Who else applies? People who desire, who want to be in these fields. And then who else? Just people. Human beings. So it's not about the CEO. It's not about the qualification. It's not about am I capable or not. To your point, sorry, your name again? Khanyi. It starts here. So that's what I want to focus my talk on. And I'm inviting you on a journey of climbing a mountain. It starts with just the foundation before you climb anything. Wherever you are in your mountain at the moment, it's about preparation. So on this particular mountain, this is Mount Elbrus in Russia. It's between the border of Russia and Georgia, where the war is taking place at the moment. And this is the kit that you require to climb. But what's important in mountaineering is about a role that's played by a guy called a Sherpa. Any mountaineers here? Anybody who has climbed a mountain? Anybody who has done hiking? Okay, how far have you done your hike? Don't mind me, okay? A Sherpa in mountaineering, you don't climb a mountain without a Sherpa. You don't attain anything in your life without a coach. Mr. Dominic was talking about that earlier on, and I'm talking from experience because I am a coach. But what does a Sherpa need? It's about resilience, the ability to carry others as you take them up the mountain. Very critical. Expertise, do you even know the person who's leading you? Are they experienced in what they're doing? And also, do you trust them? Why resilience matters now is because of the situations that most of you are dealing with and where you are finding yourselves. In our time, he was talking about June 16, he was 11 years old. I was also around the same age. We were dealing with a totally different mountain, but it was clear. We knew what the mountain was. Your mountain is all over. You're talking about all the issues that I'm mentioning in my slide. So what is resilience? Resilience is not about being standing strong. Resilience is not about being the one who charges forward first. But resilience is about adapting to the situation. Resilience is about how willing are you to let something go so that you can literally stand up again. But how do you maintain hope in the space where there is no hope? How do you continue to charge forward despite the fact that things may not be going okay? 3 things that I'd like to share with you when it comes to resilience. And as I was listening to your questions, there is a little bit of, how am I going to do this? How did he do it? How is it even possible? And I don't know where your mountains are or where you are sitting, but it starts from the thoughts that you have in your head. He spoke about that, how you convince yourself differently. And then it talks about your emotional intelligence, how you get tuned with the human being, the core essence of who you are. The third thing about resilience, which I've learned from mountaineering, is how your body can carry you. So in the first slide, this was Mount Elbrus. I was caught in the midst of a snowstorm. Very dark, because the mountain can change at any moment. And it is this moment where fear and doubt, I always ask myself, what am I even doing here? This is a white man's thing. Hey, can you stand izinto? Nizofele emanyaleni. Here, it's your heart. It's how you believe in what, the self-motivation. That picture that I shared with you, I always have it at the back of my mind. Whenever something looks like it's going to be too difficult for me, I'm like, I'm not going back there. Although that was my foundation, I didn't choose it. I just happened to be born in it, so I was unlucky. The third part, this is where I was at Mount Elbrus towards the end of the summit. It's how physically you have to be fit. How fit are you in your skills before you even say, I want to be successful in my business? And I'm not going to talk a lot because Mr. Dominic touched on that. So there are 4 critical pillars to resilience. What is the meaning? Why are you here? Are you here because it's about networking? Are you here because you want to be another Lincoln Marty? Who walks with you? He asked the question very importantly. Who are you with? And how do you respond to whatever it is that you are faced with? And what can you influence in your space? The first part in mountaineering was about how you prepare. The second part is when you navigate. And in navigating life, whether it's in business, in your personal life, this was us in the midst of all these mountains. Already you are this small. So it makes you vulnerable. But you need to understand that there is power in vulnerability. Where it starts in mountaineering, we say on the mountain, you don't measure how high the mountain is when you are at the bottom. Because it's just it's too high. You won't even start climbing because it's not high. When you look at some of the challenges or the opportunities that you are facing, you measure them once you are, oh my goodness, I want that promotion, but I still need to get my MBA. I still need to get married, by the way. Oh, I got married last year when I turned 60, so yes, I'm celebrating that as well. So, where does it start? The things that we don't talk about, and I want to caution you, that when you listen to us, particularly as business people and all our experiences, we forget to tell you the hard stuff, the loneliness, the difficult conversations. And I'm glad, Mr. Dominic, somebody asked, what is the truth? Ne? Uzikhuza kanjani? There are many moments on this mountain. So this is where we are. These are highly skilled climbers. There's Mama Khanyi. This was Mount Kilimanjaro. The mountain, the mountain literally, it humbles you. This was a day, after 3 days of climbing, mountain altitude sickness, all of us, we were at the same level. So never mind how much money people have that you're looking up to, never mind how qualified they are, at the core essence of who we are, the human being. So some of the people who might intimidate you, some of the issues that you may be facing, by the way, you may be looking, I can't approach that person because they are so big. It's a human being. And that's what we need to be talking about. Also, when you look about vulnerability, you actually reframe what vulnerability is. So on this was on our way to the summit, Mama Khanyi. I'm normally the fittest because I'm the only runner in the group of people that I run with. So on mountaineering, you climb 300 meters, you go down, you climb another 1,000 meters, you go down as you acclimatize. On this day, it was towards the summit. My body couldn't carry me. I was so sick, altitude sickness. But look at the team around me. Mama Khanyi, there's no way we're going to leave you behind. We're going to climb together. So reframing. So the courage was, how do I stand up again and start climbing despite how difficult it was for me? So this is what vulnerability says about from Brené Brown. So what kind of leadership is required in the space where you are operating? The way we define it from University of Cambridge is about how you influence others as part and parcel of a meaningful purpose at the day. It's about influencing together in a specific space. Also, how do you maximize the contributions of others? Because it's not just about you. He was only at the time, Ponsian, our leader from Tanzania, 27 years old, leading people who are much, much, much older than him. But he had the experience. He wanted to influence how we saw it possible for ourselves to get to the top of the mountain. 4 critical pointers in terms of leadership campus that I want to talk to. Number 1 is courageous leadership. When you are able to climb beyond your comfort zone. This was Mount Elbrus in the morning, minus 24 degrees, needing to go out of the camp to start our journey of acclimatizing. Mount Kilimanjaro, that's me there. Freezing cold, minus 12 degrees on this particular day. That's why I had my hand on the climber in front of me so that his body temperature could actually warm me up. We were following Ponsian above the clouds. So courage, it means sometimes be comfortable in a space of discomfort. Mr. Doming spoke about that earlier on. What are the uncomfortable conversations that you are having? What are some of the decisions that you need to make? And how are you able to even choose the most difficult path? Because you know beyond that path, there's where you want to be. The second part is creative leadership, how you reframe and navigate new routes. So on Mount Kilimanjaro, it was very tough. The toughest part of mountaineering is when you have to go down. So what does Mama Khanyi do? I decided my knees could not carry me at this point, so I'm going to sit down. That moment of sitting down in mountaineering is that moment of humility. That moment, it means, yes, I am going to go down, but in a different way, just so that I make it. On this particular base camp, it's on the edge of the mountain. And as you can see, this is not Sentin. This is not Nairobi. There's no running water. So how do you get comfortable even in that space, especially in your careers? The fourth part is connected leadership. Mr. Dominic spoke a lot about this, so I'm not going to talk about connection. But it's important, relationships, networking. What we learned on mountaineering is that when we climb together, this is a technical climb, we have a rope. One climber, rope to the next. And then we are trained that should it happen that the climber in front of you falls off the mountain, because that's a reality, what you do, you use your ice axe, you dig on the ice, you arrest yourself, make sure that you hold tightly so that as they tumble down, you're the one who's holding them from falling off the mountain. But you can only do that when you've got trusted relationships. How many of you understand that in building your careers, there is somebody who should be rooting out for you? But also there are people who are prepared that as you come down from whatever challenges in your career, they are ready to step aside so that for themselves too, forgetting that, by the way, they are tied to you, that their success, Dominic's success, is Lincoln's success. Lincoln's success is my success. We are here standing in front of you because Lincoln, we made sure that he is successful in what we do, in what he does. And as a result, he brings his tribe, his fellow climbers. The last part is collaborative leadership. How do you, on a daily basis, focus on the summit, but together you'll align in terms of how you get there. So when you talk about reaching your summit, the question I have for you, you all have your goals, you all have your ambitions, but for you to attain the summit of your mountain, where are you stacking up in terms of the pecking order? Do you understand where you are? Or are you just following because as long as I can get my degree, my MBA, I am okay? Or what is it that is so unique that you bring to the party that when we look at this line, actually we pick up on you? I knew today that everybody was going to be dressed in black. And I said, I want to stand out. I want to be remembered, so I'm going to be shining in color. But that's also the principle, how in the line of people, that is lining up for the summit, how do you stand up? We talk about leaving no one behind. That's a key principle in mountaineering because you don't summit alone. What we make sure is it is more about teamwork, when it is more than yourself. So what happens on Kili, when we submitted, the first thing, we group together and we take a photo as a group. Because what we are appreciating is what it took for all of us to get there together. Mount Everest, we were summiting for hope, for some of the projects that I am involved in. That's Mafadi, that's Base Camp, that's Mount Everest behind us. Before you take a photo on your own, you define your own summit. What is your summit? What is that point that you want to get to? For me, why am I doing this? I'm a mother to many. And I climb because there's many young people I'm responsible for, and I raise funds on their behalf. So the challenge sometimes at Comrades Marathon at 89 kilometers, you want to give up, you're thinking, I need to raise funds for this child. On Mount Everest, minus 24 degrees, I get very cold very easily, but I had to push beyond my discomfort because it's for the cause that I'm actually committed to. These are the kids that I've started with on their journey. This is where they are today. When it is more than yourself, it becomes much more meaningful. When the business principle that you are following is more than yourself, even when you are not included in decisions, it's easy for you to continue. So these are the reflections I spoke about. We had difficult situations when we woke up, but it was a different mountain. You are faced with a different mountain today, but we all have to climb. We all have a mountain. The question is, how do you show up to that mountain? What it requires? Don't come with an attitude, I know, I've been there. But you come with the attitude, I'm here to learn, as he said. And this is the descent. Again, why we don't talk about after he got the deal, after you've achieved your goal, after you get your MBA and everything else, then what? This is where you literally face yourself. On Mount Everest, after we summited, on this moment as I was going down, I was reflecting, did you just do that? For what? And this is where I made major decisions about my life. The first one was, I'm in a toxic relationship, and I've been sitting in this relationship for years. I'm going to choose me. Reflecting. Again, what are my values? What matters to me? And what do I need right now? These are the questions that I'd like you to ask yourself. 3 key things I'd like you to remember from this masterclass. You're more resilient than what you think. No one reaches the summit alone. You need people around you. In fact, the more you ask for help, is the more it says you are resilient, you're strong. The most important relationship is with yourself. You are, by the way, the mountain, because you stop yourself or you help yourself to move forward. The challenge, what mountains are you climbing at the moment? Who are your shepherds or who are you shepherding? But also, how do you show up and be kind to yourself as you go down? What are the things that you are reflecting on? Mountain is not there to stop you, but show you how strong you are. Thank you.
Thank you, Mama Khanyi. You're my mother's age, I didn't know.
So not CC to you.
I would like to just trigger some questions in the audience, and I would like to ask 1 or 2 questions before everyone else. So you often draw parallels between mountaineering and leadership. What is the most important lesson the mountain has taught you about leading through uncertainty?
You know, at that moment, when I was sitting down and reflecting, when I was going down after the summit, I just knew that it will take another mountain for me to get to the next summit. So even if it's not uncertain, it's not certain at the moment, even if there's instability, there are no clear answers. But the fact that I've been on one summit, you have, Nelson Mandela says, the most important thing in life is you have to go down your mountain so that you climb the next one. So you don't move from summit to the next summit to the next summit. It's that moment of the deep reflection. How did I succeed? What are the things that made me actually get to 90 kilometers? When I run comrades, when I get at 45 kilometers and it's hard, then I remember, I mean, I've done 32 kilometers, this is nothing. When you get to 60, I've done 42 kilometers, this is nothing. So what's keeping you going is what do you remember about yourself, how you climbed the last mountain.
Thank you for that. We're both in the space of doing more in this country.
Yeah.
Me through AWCA, you through your work with children. How do you articulate that why? How do you get to that why? As a young person, how do you find that why? Why am I doing this? How do you refine it? Maybe you can give us a little bit more insights.
Yeah. You know what's important about that question, who responds, is the human being. And some of us are centered on the basis of where do I come from. So that picture, again, my family, how I grew up, it grounds me. So my why is, if I had somebody in my family or my surroundings at that time who could see a totally different picture, I did not have to go through that. So no child, if they are within my space, is going to have to go through that for as long as I am here, because I've been there. There are many children. In fact, on June 16, the other day, we went to the Eastern Cape to visit the schools that we literally support, my husband and I. And it's just a basic thing like a school shoe, by the way, a jersey, a blanket. So sometimes it's not the big things, man. And you know, when we went into the school with the blankets, they literally ran into the yard. One of the boys, the school principal, sorry, I need to tell the story, says because they're trying to discipline the boys that when you stand in front of people, you must be decent. So the boy was wearing a shirt, but the shirt was outside the pants. So wanted to discipline that, you know, tuck your shirt in. And this boy turned around so that he could, when he was tucking the shirt in, only to find that there's no zip. And aguna zip, there's no underwear. So the reason why the boy was wearing a shirt is because, so if I can provide dignity, that's all.
That's very powerful. And one last one for me, Mama Khanyi.
Yes.
When future generations in this room look back to the leaders of our time, what do you hope they will say about the way we responded to change, uncertainty, and the challenges facing the world today?
I'm a sustainability custodian, and like Mr. Dominic said, use the power and the influence that you have. Because I'm able to talk to big business. I come from the financial services. I'm able to put business leaders in a room, then I ask them the profitability that you are making at what cost. So if my voice can be heard and the powers that can create the change, I want the future generation to say she did not keep quiet. She was there.
Thank you for that. So I'd like to open it up to the audience for questions. Please go ahead. We've got 20 minutes. We've got enough time. Please go ahead and ask questions.
Can you? I just want to deal with you first. Then I can talk to you.
The pressure, right? Do I need to stand? Yeah, okay. So, again, my name is Motheo, and I did mention that I'm an attorney, but I wear multiple hats. And the hat that I'm wearing currently is I'm a non-executive director of an NPC that serves underserved communities, right?
Yeah.
So the model is just to stay in underserved communities by providing ICT skills. So the question I have for you is, how often do you have to navigate situations where, in as much as you lift as you rise, people just want to stay where they are? They're comfortable with where they are, but it's a matter of you bringing them along, and then they just fall back down.
Yeah.
And no matter how many times you keep trying to bring them back up,
Yeah.
they want to return to what is comfortable.
Yeah.
Even they themselves know that I need to get out of here.
Yeah.
So that's my question to you.
Yeah, thank you. I was listening to 702 the other day. I almost cried. And this girl was phoning and said, you know, living in the township is horrible. Guys, you know, forgive me, I'm sorry, but I just need to tell you, I was at UCT for 3 years. She comes from Alexander. I don't want to go back to Alex. Do you know the number of people who phoned and said, Kumnandi, Alex. We're not moving, Tembisa. We are comfortable here. In the 13 kids that I had an opportunity to raise, and hopefully for them to see a different direction for themselves, I lost 3. 1 to drugs, and then teenage pregnancies, Kumnandi. Elokshini. What I've learned anyway is sometimes, and we use the words, you want to do for them. They can't see it, you know. It would be good for them to be out, but it's us. It's me first. This is what I see for them. Until a person sees it for themselves, there is nothing you can do. And I don't know if you remember, there was a guy picked up on the street. He was directing traffic. You remember how he was famous and everybody were putting money. Hey man, she's got his time. Ubonga is very comfortable where he is. So the way my approach is help Ubonga where he is. If it's about me, if it's about my ego, I want Ubonga out there. Until Ubonga realizes himself, for himself, without you saying, it will be good for you, Bonga, to come out. It's just the languaging. And by the way, in helping, that's what I've learned over the years. Who does it serve at the end of the day? Is it about me going home and feeling good about myself? Or is it about the person feeling I was respected by Mama Khanyi? Ufikile, wangibuza ukuthi kwenzakalani, and then she learned from me, spoke my language. Mama Khanyi spent time with me, or intervene, but she left me still feeling guilty. It's my right. It's my decision until I'm comfortable to leave. That's how I approach.
Sure. Thank you so much, Mama Khanyi. Now I'm more than ever proud of myself for choosing this masterclass. My name is Dudu Nyumbega, and I have been very privileged to have what Dominic earlier on spoke about, luck, and have been a young leader from a very young age. And my question is, I love the analogy used on mountaineering and knowing when to turn back, as it's important to pushing forward. And mine is, how should leaders, or specifically young leaders, reframe retreating or pivoting in an organizational context without seeing it as failure? One moment you're the youngest CEO, and then now you're no longer, and how does your pivot look like to you without it being seen as failure?
Yeah, sure. That's another part on the mountain that nobody tells you about. That's why I was talking about the loneliness, the imposter syndrome, the I don't belong. And if I don't ask, sometimes I used to sit in board meetings and people are talking, they're asking, I don't even know what question to ask because everything is just above my head. But because I just want to say something, I raise my hand. So that's why vulnerability for me is critical for us to reframe and look at it as power and courage, just to withdraw. Because when you withdraw, it means you are just going to regroup. You are just going to pull yourself together. Because even if this door is closed, I'm also a person of faith. Even if this door is closing, it is not, the reflection is not about you, but it's about them. So in places where the door was closed, man, I used to laugh, you don't know what you're missing out. So the approach for a young person, I normally say, is it about you or is it about them? So if it's about you and how good it will be for me to extricate myself from a toxic environment. The reality of what we're dealing with today is young people and mental health. At what cost is that position going to come for me? And if I leave, am I saving myself? Or am I still allowing myself to be in a space that will not serve me? But it takes a lot of work, by the way. I'm able to talk about this because of my age, of my experiences, and also of my skills, having gone back when the organization saw an old woman at 55, I was able to retrieve. It was painful. It was the most painful thing to see. If I did not have a friend like Lincoln and Andisa, one of the speakers, and other people that I'm surrounded with, probably I'd have been in a depression ward. But you know, I reinvented myself. And I realized I can actually speak. Hi, man, I actually even look good. So I can stand in front of people. So there are 60-year-olds whose careers came to an end and they never saw it coming. So when it happened for me, I saw it coming, I decided to do something about it. So please, start now. Unless you run your own business, unless you know you're going to be running Standard Bank or Investec, how do you invest in you beyond corporate? Start now. Don't be caught in that pension. There's coming after 40, 45, by the way, we look at you differently in organizations. That's other talks that we never focus on. What happens when you no longer yoke or woke or dope or woke or whatever the words are? Okay, does it help? When Mr. Dominic was talking about he's been lucky, I mean, I've never been lucky, yes. And I laugh because people look at me and they say, Sis Khanyi, you're still working. And yes, it's grace, it's faith, it's what I've been saying. But people think it's luck. And when you say luck, it's almost like you're sitting and things just happen on you. That's my definition of luck. I just didn't want to say it because I still want to talk to him. So that's what we say to young people. And that's why they sit and wait for luck and opportunities. And then what happens? I'm a blesser. What happens? Just the quick fixes. Because I'm just waiting for one luck. You know, like Bafana, waiting for that one luck. Tina, our hearts are broken at that moment. By the way, I'm Orlando Paris, so I'm very happy.
Morning, Mama.
Morning, Nan.
I sort of want to go back to your answer to Khanyi. I've got a similar question, but a different context. We run a fleet business.
Yeah.
And we've been blessed to have really good capital support. So we've got two of the biggest e-hailing companies and then capital partners to buy motorcycles, effectively delivery bikes. So when we achieved that, I thought that we'd create big employment opportunities for young South Africans. We couldn't have been more wrong. Non-South Africans have obviously taken opportunities in the hundreds. And the biggest confusion for me was I thought South Africans would come take the opportunity, start with gig work. If you're sitting at home as a matriculant and work, that hasn't been the case. Non-South Africans have agency for various contexts and reasons. And I never thought I'd struggle to get young South Africans to take agency, to create. They have problems at home. They don't have money. There's opportunities, and we're helping them. We're trying to structure it such that they can at least start and participate in the economy, but they don't have agency. Now, you said that you can't necessarily help somebody who doesn't want to help themselves, but equally, I have to do something about it. It's something I'm passionate about. We've sort of put all the building blocks together, but I can't sort of close that gap to say, come, at least start and give yourself a chance, and then sort of take it from there. So how do I solve the problem of agency?
Yeah. Yo. And you know, the truth is that as South Africans, we don't want to hear that, because we're thinking those people who are coming from outside. Half of the children that I've been raising, they come from all kinds of countries. Where I climb mountains, where I run, I always find a child. So I commend you for just standing up and being courageous, particularly within the narrative that we are facing today in South Africa. If you were to ask me, it's not xenophobia, because there are many South Africans like you who understand the reality of what it means to care and love for somebody, even if they are not from your direct line. I think similar to Khanyi, I don't want to say don't help because they must help themselves. All I'm saying is, how do you work within their own framing, their own languaging, until they see it for themselves, the importance of taking themselves out of that situation. One of the biggest passions that I have in life is teenage pregnancy. And it doesn't matter what you do. Mama Khanyi, you're sitting where you are sitting. I have a boyfriend, and I need to prove myself to my boyfriend. And also there's peer pressure. Everybody's having a child because kunegrand yamalak in South Africa. So how I'm choosing to work with young girls is to have conversations with them in their own space, for them to understand for themselves the implications of their decision. Most of the issues around why young people don't move forward is because there is no ability to make a decision that will put them in the next step. So how do you empower somebody to think differently? So it's a much more bigger work than I have a job, please apply. It's about engaging in their space, within their language, and what is much more comfortable and relatable to them, until a person sees that actually there's another step that I can take for me to be better. What I don't want you to do is like how a whole lot of us almost killed ourselves because of that frustration. Why that this is going to be good for them. And we spend so much energy and resources, and that's why I'm doing psychology at the moment, because I needed to understand the human thinking. Why would a girl, knowing what Lobaba is Jonas, I hear there's a Jonas. Ne? But I'm also happy to continue talking with you, because I also do a lot of coaching. I do a lot of mentoring, and yeah, it is one of the things that I do. We still have time. How many more? Yeah. So my attitude, I don't care what people say about people coming from outside South Africa, because I don't know where I come from. Half the time people say, you look Malawi, and I'm like, yes, I could be. You, from wherever, you know, I've got a forehead, and I've got eyes, and I've got teeth that look like, because I don't know where my father comes from. I was raised by a single mother, yes. I don't know where my father comes from. So nobody's going to tell me not to love and care because of the border. But I choose to work with those at the end who see the possibility. So that when they achieve, I don't want anybody to thank Mama Khanyi. I always tell them, I want you to thank yourself. Because it shouldn't be about me. Ne? So it's that ownership thing.
Hi, Mama Khanyi.
Hi.
I'm Voisile. I'd really appreciate your thoughts if we dial it back to what you said about resilience, specifically at the head center, and more specifically reframing the negative thoughts. To contextualize it, maybe many of us will be first in our family. Many of us feel a tremendous amount of responsibility. And with that, whether knowingly or unknowingly, we invite a lot of pressure. I know I tend to struggle that even if I've done something that I find remarkable, it won't even take me 3 minutes to be like, it's not big enough. There's too many people I'm carrying. Even this little inflationary increase on my salary, it can't carry my brother's kids, myself, my bond, and just a huge weight just falls upon you.
Yeah.
And obviously you'll quickly run to LinkedIn or social media, and you're not even tracking that you're doing well and there's so much grace on your life. Instead, that this insurmountable weight is on you. And I'd appreciate your thoughts on how do we really arrest that thought, reframe it, just so that we have, I don't know, motivation or a diesel in J just to get
Yeah,
through.
man. It is in J. And at the end of the day, when it's exhausting. Yeah. From early age, I started working when I was 13. I took myself through schooling. Beyond matric, my mother was very happy. Hey, ufikile ku matric, so kune factory next door, uzosebenza khona. I wanted to be an architect, so I'm qualified in architecture. And I wanted to be something that nobody had ever seen in my environment. So it was that self-drive. So because I was the first one and only one in a long time in the family, I also took it upon myself that my mother, by the way, when she named me Khanyi, she was intentional and prophetic. This one is going to be the light in the family. So when I grew up, everybody was like, Khanyi, who's Khanyi Sela? So when I was 13, I was already Nzoba Khanyi Sela, and I took that with me. There are many opportunities that I could have taken, but I had the responsibility. But if I go and study overseas, honestly. And years later, I look back, there has not been much movement. Do you know how that made me so hurt? Particularly when people do not appreciate that the more you give, is the more they want. How mamngane so thenginye imoto futhi yazi usibabana akasebenzi. In the meantime, the very same mamngane was not lucky. Literally, I used to work and go back to school and pay and go and work. So instead of my degree taking me 4 years, it took me 8 years. But I had all the time because I wanted to stand in front of you one day and tell the story. Don't give up. But what helps is, there's a song that says, why don't you brighten the corner where you are? If it's 1, if it's 2, if it's 5. And if you know your heart is in the good space, if you know it's what you are able to give. There's a concept that we talk about, empty cup syndrome, that you can't give from a cup that is empty. When your cup is full, after you've done something, and not because you owe it, you don't owe anybody anything except yourself, your children, and your family. Everybody else, umusa, like all of us, umus, it's grace. So if you can appreciate that any little thing that you do, as long as it comes from a good space, not because you feel indebted, because when you feel indebted, you get tired the day you can't give. Ne? Not because you are waiting for thank you. You do it because it comes from your good space. It should be enough. There's a book that asks how much is enough? How much can you give? How much money can you make? The same question I ask myself, how much is enough? So we got to Eastern Cape. I mean, this is a school of 600 people, or 600 kids. And all we ask from the school principal, those who are the most in need. And she said, I've got 10. My husband was saying, yo, but that's not enough. What about the 600? I said, babe, babe at my age. Huh? Babe, it's the 10, because we can afford the 10. And once we've given, we can afford to go back and have our one-on-ones with the 10. Please understand, as long as it comes from the space and within your means, even Oprah gets tired. This black tax thing, take it as a blessing to be in a position to help, né? Not as a heavy load, but within, please, within your means. Otherwise, we've seen many people fighting their families today. Families don't speak to each other today because mamncane uzenza ngcono. And vele ngingcono. And ngingcono ngoba ngiyile esikolweni. And ngiye esikolweni because I wanted to. So why must I be punished for that? Own what you have, mntanami, ne? And bless you.
Hi, Mama. Kamala Musimpiwan.
Hi, Simpiwan.
For me, I think I want to get your advice on advising young people about collaborative leadership and fostering change. Because you spoke of Ilogish. Half the time, a lot of us as young people, they only draw inspiration from criminals because of those guys, when they go to do something, they collaborate and they go and they win. But instead of getting inspired by the criminal element part of it, how do we as young people, like we've got, I think, about 48,000 graduates, I always look at them as lazy people because of, you went to school, but okay, what can we do? There's the township economy that we can reclaim. I was talking to a Mozambican guy when March on March was marching in Tembis. He says, hey, we couldn't work because of Bestugil. I tell Abantana ba lazy. Because I know one thing, umuntu kuta vuka ekuseni to go and open a shop. Yeah. So how do we advise these people to have that collaborative effort and fostering change with whatever we do now? If let's foster this or foster this again.
Yeah.
How do we do it?
Yeah. You know, Somi, bless his heart, is asking a question. What's going to happen in 1st July when everybody's gone? Ne? Because, to your point, South Africans in the main, they don't understand. And it's the sense of urgency that people must have for themselves. Township economy is booming for those who see the opportunities, by the way. It's amazing how many young people in the township. I mean, this music thing, you listening to a song, you're thinking it's somebody, but no, this is an AI thing and it's happening. It's at a human level. And why crime looks like it's the way to go, it's because of how it is advertised. How people are in crime, they show up. How they create the perception that kumnandila. And yet with everything that is good and building, we keep quiet. I had many people talk about faith. How are we making faith fashionable? How are we making young people realize ukuthi ukungabi nomntwana is actually fashionable? Umnandi. Kusex ukungabi nomntwana. Ne? So for me, again, it's young people are impressionable. What are the impressions that we are creating around the things that they can be drawn to? And I hope that helps. There are many organizations, particularly in Soweto. I'm part of Grace Bible Church, by the way. We have a huge program for young people. At Grace, we have over 5,000 young people across the provinces. And we have programs that are targeted at them. When you see, in fact, we had a conference, Year Youth Day. It was run by young people. It was amazing to see how young people are excited about being in a space where there is worship. Because the church has made it relevant, relatable, and everybody uniformo ifangekho lapho. It's a mindset, and it's here at the core. I just don't want you to give up because somebody else is not taking the step. You cannot climb for the next person. Climbing, by the way, is not a akekho umuntu on the side of izandla ukuthi well done Mama Khanyi. And yet in running Corobrik marathon, when we finish is 60 kilometers, uzumuntu, hey Khanyi, well done. You don't even know them. You're like, I'm known, I'm famous, can't take a malakol baluna, you know. So you finish, you know, you don't even feel the race because of the energy, the crowd. But here, there are moments where you have to pull yourself. You die in mountaineering, in many instances, when you're going to sit and wait for somebody to stand up. There's a story of a family, wife and husband, on Mount Everest. They had a discussion because their oxygen was low. They knew only one person can use that oxygen. So between the two of us, who should stay behind? And the wife said, no, I think you should stay behind because the kids will be better off with you than me. Those are life decisions that people who are serious about their life and they understand what it means to choose what is right for them. It shouldn't be difficult.
So, Mama Khanyi. Guys, I'm so sorry, we're out of time. Usikhanyisile namhlanje.
Thank you.
Siyabonga. Thank you very much for those nuggets of wisdom. We have some books for the audience that you can take with some nuggets, more nuggets. And you can always go on her website, just Google her. She's got a whole website where you can find additional information, more motivational information, because we want all of you to succeed and do well in this very uncertain world. But thank you so much for attending our masterclass. Please be well and just have a good time today and get some nuggets and interact with all the leaders. Thank you very much. Thank you.